أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. الحمد لله رب العالمين. الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا وإمامنا وقائدنا محمد صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. اللهم ربنا زدنا علما نافعا وعملا صالحا. اللهم ربنا زدنا علما نافعا وعملا صالحا. اللهم ربنا زدنا علما نافعا وعملا صالحا. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا يا مولانا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. اللهم أعنا على ذكرك وشكرك وحسن عبادتك. اللهم أعنا على ذكرك وشكرك وحسن عبادتك. اللهم أعنا على ذكرك وشكرك وحسن عبادتك. أما بعد، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Inshallah, we start from Surah Yusuf from the beginning, inshallah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ألف لام را. تلك آيات الكتاب المبين. إنا أنزلناه قرآنا عربيا لعلكم تعقلون. نحن نقص عليك أحسن القصص بما أوحينا إليك هذا القرآن وإن كنت من قبله لمن الغافلين. إذ قال يوسف لأبيه يا أبت إني رأيت 11 كوكبا والشمس والقمر رأيتهم لي ساجدين. قال يا بني لا تقصص رؤياك على إخوتك فيكيدوا لك كيدا إن الشيطان للإنسان عدو مبين. وكذلك يجتبيك ربك ويعلمك من تأويل الأحاديث ويتم نعمته عليك وعلى آل يعقوب كما أتمها على أبويك من قبل إبراهيم وإسحاق إن ربك عليم حكيم. لقد كان في يوسف وإخوته آيات للسائلين إذ قالوا ليوسف وأخوه أحب إلى أبينا منا ونحن عصبة إن أبانا لفي ضلال مبين. اقتلوا يوسف أو اطرحوه أرضا يخل لكم وجه أبيكم وتكونوا من بعده قوما صالحين. قال قائل منهم لا تقتلوا يوسف وألقوه في غيابة الجب يلتقطه بعض السيارة إن كنتم فاعلين. قالوا يا أبانا ما لك لا تأمنا على يوسف وإنا له لناصحون. أرسله معنا غدا يرتع ويلعب وإنا له لحافظون. قال إني ليحزنني أن تذهبوا به وأخاف أن يأكله الذئب وأنتم عنه غافلون. قالوا لئن أكله الذئب ونحن عصبة إنا إذا لخاسرون. فلما ذهبوا به وأجمعوا أن يجعلوه في غيابة الجب وأوحينا إليه إنهم بأمرهم هذا وهم لا يشعرون وجاءوا أباهم عشاء يبكون قالوا يا أبانا إنا ذهبنا نستبق وتركنا يوسف عند متاعنا فأكله الذئب وما أنت بمؤمن لنا ولو كنا صادقين وجاءوا على قميصه بدم كذب قال بل سولت لكم أنفسكم أمرا فصبر جميل والله المستعان على ما تصفون وجاءت سيارة فأرسلوا واردهم فأدلى دلوه قال يا بشرى هذا غلام وأسروا بضاعة والله عليم بما يعملون وشروه بثمن بخس دراهم معدودة وكانوا فيه من الزاهدين وقال الذي اشتراه من مصر لامرأته أكرمي مثواه عسى أن ينفعنا أو نتخذه ولدا وكذلك مكنا ليوسف في الأرض ولنعلمه من تأويل الأحاديث والله غالب على أمره ولكن أكثر الناس لا يعلمون ولما بلغ أشده آتيناه حكما وعلما وكذلك نجزي المحسنين وراودته التي هو في بيتها عن نفسه وغلقت الأبواب وقالت هيت لك قال معاذ الله إنه ربي أحسن مثواي إنه لا يفلح الظالمون ولقد همت به وهم بها لولا أن رأى برهان ربه كذلك لنصرف عنه السوء والفحشاء إنه من عبادنا المخلصين واستمق الباب وقدت قميصه من دبر وألف يا سيدها لدى الباب واستبق الباب وقدت قميصه من دبر وألف يا سيدها لدى الباب قالت ما جزاء من أراد بأهلك سوءا إلا أن يسجن أو عذاب أليم قال هي راودتني عن نفسي وشهد شاهد من أهلها إن كان قميصه قد من قبل فصدقت وهو من الكاذبين وإن كان قميصه قد من دبر فكذبت وهو من الصادقين فلما رأى قميصه قد من دبر قال إنه من كيدكن إن كيدكن عظيم يوسف أعرض عن هذا واستغفري لذنبك إنك كنت من الخاطئين وقال نسوة في المدينة امرأة العزيز تراود فتاة عن نفسه قد شغفها حبا إنا لنراها في ضلال مبين فلما سمعت بمكرهن أرسلت إليهن وأعتدت لهن متكئا وآتت كل واحدة منهن سكينا وقالت اخرج عليهن فلما رأينه أكبرنه وقطعن أيديهن وقلن حاش لله ما هذا بشرا إن هذا إلا ملك كريم قالت فذلكن الذي لمتنني فيه ولقد راودته عن نفسه فاستعصم ولقد راودته عن نفسه فاستعصم ولئن لم يفعل ما آمره ليسجنن وليكون من الصاغرين قال رب السجن أحب إلي مما يدعونني إليه وإلا تصرف عني كيدهن أصب إليهن وأكن من الجاهلين فاستجاب له ربه فصرف عنه كيدهن إنه هو السميع العليم ثم بدا لهم من بعد ما رأوا الآيات ليسجننه حتى حين ودخل معه السجن فتيان قال أحدهما إني أراني أعصر خمرا وقال الآخر إني أراني أحمل فوق رأسي خبزا تأكل الطير منه نبئنا بتأويله إنا نراك من المحسنين قال لا يأتيكما طعام ترزقانه إلا نبأتكما بتأويله قبل أن يأتيكما ذلكما مما علمني ربي إني تركت ملة قوم لا يؤمنون بالله وهم بالآخرة هم كافرون واتبعت ملة آبائي إبراهيم وإسحاق ويعقوب ما كان لنا أن نشرك بالله من شيء ذلك من فضل الله علينا وعلى الناس ولكن أكثر الناس لا يشكرون ذلك من فضل الله علينا وعلى الناس ولكن أكثر الناس لا يشكرون يا صاحبي السجن أأرباب متفرقون خير أم الله الواحد القهار ما تعبدون من دونه إلا أسماء سميتموها أنتم وآباؤكم ما أنزل الله بها من سلطان إن الحكم إلا لله أمر ألا تعبدوا إلا إياه ذلك الدين القيم ولكن أكثر الناس لا يعلمون يا صاحبي السجن أما أحدكما فيسقي ربه خمرا وأما الآخر فيسلب فتأكل الطير من رأسه قضي الأمر الذي فيه تستفتيان وقال للذي ظن أنه ناج منهم اذكرني عند ربك فأنساه الشيطان ذكر ربه فلبث في السجن بضع سنين وقال الملك إني أرى 7 بقرات سمان يأكلهن 7 عجاف وسبع سنبلات خضر وأخر يابسات يا أيها الملأ أفتوني في رؤياي إن كنتم لرؤيا تعبرون قالوا أضغاث أحلام وما نحن بتأويل الأحلام بعالمين وقال الذي نجا منهما وادكر بعد أمة أنا أنبئكم بتأويله فأرسلون يوسف أيها الصديق أفتنا في 7 بقرات سمان يأكلهن 7 عجاف و7 سنبلات خضر وأخر يابسات لعلي أرجع إلى الناس لعلهم يعلمون قال تزرعون 7 سنين دأبا فما حصدتم فذروه في سنبله إلا قليلا مما تأكلون ثم يأتي من بعد ذلك 7 شداد يأكلن ما قدمتم لهن إلا قليلا مما تحسنون ثم يأتي من بعد ذلك عام فيه يغاث الناس وفيه يعصرون وقال الملك ائتوني به فلما جاءه الرسول قال ارجع إلى ربك فاسأله ما بال النسوة اللاتي قطعن أيديهن إن ربي بكيدهن عليم قال ما خطبكن إذ راوتن يوسف عن نفسه قلنا حاش لله ما علمنا عليه من سوء قالت امرأة العزيز الآن حصحص الحق أنا راودته عن نفسه وإنه لمن الصادقين ذلك ليعلم أني لم أخنه بالغيب وأن الله لا يهدي كيد الخائنين وما أبرئ نفسي إن النفس لأمارة بالسوء إلا ما رحم ربي إن ربي غفور رحيم وقال الملك ائتوني به أستخلصه لنفسي فلما كلمه قال إنك اليوم لدينا مكين أمين قال جعلني على خزائن الأرض إني حفيظ عليم وكذلك مكنا ليوسف في الأرض يتبوأ منها حيث يشاء نصيب برحمتنا من نشاء ولا نضيع أجر المحسنين ولأجر الآخرة خير للذين آمنوا ولأجر الآخرة خير للذين آمنوا وكانوا يتقون. Okay, last lesson we covered proactive forbearance is superiority, right? We covered that mindset. So. Okay, next mindset is care is sincerity. Care is sincerity. And thereby, the more care you have, the more sincere you are. Thereby, the more care you have, the more sincere you are. And care by default entails others. Care by default entails others. Similarly, you cannot have sincerity for others unless you have care for others. Similarly, you cannot have sincerity for others until and unless you have care for others. Now, you'll see in your life, anytime you are sincere towards others, genuinely, you'll find that the reason you're sincere is because you care for them. The reason you are sincere towards them is because you care for them. So if someone asks the question, am I sincere or not? Or how do I know I am sincere? The answer should be work on your care. Well done. The answer ought to be work on your care. The more caring you are, The more caring you are, the more you can measure not only the actions of care, actions of care, not can you only measure that, but you can actually measure the level of sincerity you have towards people. You can actually begin to measure the level of sincerity you have towards people. So I'll give you an example. We all say we have care for the ummah, right? Right? Who will say that we don't have care for the ummah? We'll all will say we have care for the ummah. We'll all will say we have sincerity towards the ummah. Ummah Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Sah? Okay. That's a claim. How can we prove that claim to be true? Through actions. Yeah? Through actions. So if you are working for the ummah, for its repulsion of oppression, for its betterment, for its prosperity, you're giving your energy, you're giving your time, you're giving your money, you're sacrificing, then that claim can be true. Then that claim can be true. So now, let's say we affirm, yes, you are trying your best, locally at least, trying to establish justice for the ummah. You're trying to bring empowerment towards the local ummah. You're trying to sacrifice for the local ummah. Say that is true. Your actions are towards that, and it's affirmed. The next question is, what is the level of that? What is the level? So suppose we affirm that he or she is giving time and energy and all of that for the ummah locally, but he or she is earning, say, £100,000 yearly and donating £10 or £20, say. Even though if we affirm, yes, he or she is working for the ummah, now the level of that sincerity or the care is actually can be now what? Tangible. You can grasp it. That actually, if he or she was given another opportunity or another chance or an exit from that work, maybe he or she will not sacrifice for the ummah. Maybe he or she will not work for the ummah. Why? Because they are only giving £10 or £20 towards the local ummah cause. Yeah. So one of the greatest way for you to measure your care and your sincerity is how much you spend towards those groups of people that you care and that you claim to have sincerity towards. Now, we all make dua for the ummah, for example. Sah? Here and there, sometimes we may even weep for the ummah and cry. Especially in in the qunut, when in Ramadan the Imam makes dua with the ummah, a lot of us cry. That cry may come from the depth of one's soul, that weeping. But when it comes to actually donating towards those causes of repulsion, of oppression, how much of that soul, the depth of the soul, is playing a part in that donation? Now, if one is donating 10, 20 pounds, does it reach the depth of the soul? So then you can even measure the difference between an emotional crying, because everyone's standing in Taraweeh, there's people around there, the Imam is making nice, beautiful dua, and because of that crowd, your soul reacts. So you can even measure whether your soul is faking it, or whether your soul has a genuine feeling towards the ummah. So money plays a vital role in measuring not only care and sincerity, it measures the actual level of care and sincerity. It doesn't only identify them, it actually measures them. And that's why Yusuf ﷺ here, when he gave the advice regarding their Egypt harvest and how they should plan for next, you can say, 15 years, his advice was sincere because he had care for them. His advice was sincere because he had care for them. And that care was from day one. But through his trials and tribulations, he proactively grew that care. He proactively grew that care. And eventually, when people came to take the harvest, he gave them extra. He always used to give them extra. Now, the extra that he would give, was it from the public's share or was it from his share? It was from his share. Okay? The reason this mindset is important, because the ummah hasn't reached the level of sincerity by which Allah's aid and help comes to us. That level of sincerity, we have not achieved it yet. We want something from Allah, but we have not met the condition of those achievements. We want something from Allah, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has guidelines and has conditions. And He has a pedestal where you have to stand on it before you achieve it. We have not reached the level of sincerity as a community in order for us to reap the fruits from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which He has promised for the Muslims. And we can see in our day-to-day, daily actions and reactions and communications, right? How much significance we put on the wealth and assets that people have, irrespective of whether they attained it through halal or haram. We give them status and rank. There could be someone else who could be sacrificing and donating lots of money. He may not achieve much wealth for this life of this dunya, but he's sacrificing for the ummah a lot, time, energy, even money. But in our eyes, we don't value them until and unless, right, we are the recipients of their donations and their sacrifice. And that shows our reality is that Islam and Deen hasn't reached the core level of our soul. It still is at the surface level of our hearts. Jalla wa'ala made that very clear when he said, قالت الأعراب آمنا قل لم تؤمنوا ولكن قولوا أسلمنا. When the Arab, the Bedouins, when they first became Muslim, they said, we have believed. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala negated that. He said, you have not believed, say you have surrendered, i.e., you simply have submitted outwardly on the surface level of your heart. وَلَمَّا يَدْخُلْ الْإِيمَانُ فِي قُلُوبِكُمْ. Only when the Iman can settle in your souls, in your heart, at the depth level, then you can claim yourselves to be believers. Only then can you claim for yourselves to be mu'minun, believers. And you look at the Muslim community and the ummah at large, you realize that reality, that fact, that our iman is at the surface level of our hearts. You know, money is traceable. Money is traceable. And one of the reasons why the Messenger ﷺ said regarding Sadaqah being burhan, donations being an evidence for you, one of the main reasons he said this is because everything in this dunya life of deeds of good deeds may not be traceable. But when it comes to donations, it's traceable and its impact is physical and tangible. Its impact is physical and tangible. And no one can donate large amounts of money unless they believe in the cause. Unless they believe in the cause wholeheartedly. And they want to see the cause being successful. They want to see the cause being successful. And this problem I want to make sure you note this down. No true Muslim can have both of those intentions in the heart and be a munafiq. No Muslim can have both of those intentions. So he believes in the cause, that's why he donates. Secondly, he wants that cause to be successful, the deed to be successful. That's why he donates. Those two intentions, if a true Muslim has it, then he can never ever be munafiq. For that reason, the Messenger ﷺ, he made it very clear by saying, as-sadaqatu burhan. Sadaqah is the clear, tangible evidence in dunya life for a true Muslim. Obviously, he meant large amounts of money constantly, consistently being donated. Let me give you one other point. Sadaqah is the only door, Sadaqah is the only door by which you can reach the level of Siddiqiyah very quickly. Sadaqah is the only door by which you can reach the level of Siddiqiyah very quickly. Every other door to reach Siddiqiyah is very long and very hard and very difficult, very challenging. But Sadaqah is the only door, the only gate by which you can reach the level of Siddiqiyah very quickly. Why? Because it is the most beloved thing to a human being, money, wealth, assets. And so when you donate it, you're donating large amounts of money, especially if you donate, you're donating from the depth of your soul, from the depth of your heart. And thereby it cleanses all illnesses and diseases that you may have as a Muslim simply by donating, and thereby it leaves your heart clean and pure in order for you to be amongst the Siddiqiyah level. Every other deed, not necessarily, if you do it consistently and constantly, not necessarily will come from the depth of your soul and from the depth of your heart. So if you ask me, if you say, Shaykh Abu Ubayd, give us one thing that will give victory to the uprightness of humanity, give me one thing. That one thing would be for me is we Muslims ought to donate large amounts of money, so much so your nafs hurts. So much so that your nafs begins to hurt. Only then we will begin to change the course. We will begin to take the course and the reins of this ummah in our own hands. We will not allow anyone else to take the reins of this ummah. We will not allow anyone else to be on the driving seat of this ummah. Now, no doubt, when we start donating, we'll be compelled to making money. When you start donating lots of money, you'll be compelled also to making lots of money. But if you donate less money, right, either you will make lots of money haram way, or you'll be lazy and stagnant. Just to make money, you will not make money. You'll be satisfied where you are. Just last week I spoke to a brother and his wife was pushing him to earn more money. He was like, I'm fine, you know, I'm an IT engineer, I'm making lots of money, I'm fine. Why is he saying it's fine? Because the amount of donations given, it's not hurting his nafs. If it was hurting his nafs, then he would have come home, done other businesses in order to donate more money. I spoke to a brother and sister yesterday. The brother is a doctor. She's from, he's Syrian and she's from South Korea. And asked them about their wealth. They're like, they're okay, they're fine, they're doing good. And I said, inshallah, you'll get more risk. Donate more, you'll get more risk. And they were content with their wealth. So many Muslims are content with their wealth. And they're happy with their lives. You have every opportunity to make more money. Make more money and donate the money. Make more money and donate the money. Shouldn't stop and shouldn't be happy where you are. Because Muslims are in dire need of money to change their course and transform it for the better. Okay, so care is, in summary, care is sincerity. The more care you have, the more sincere you are. The way to measure your care and your sincerity, the way to measure and identify its level, it depends on your donations. Depends on your donation. Let me say this. So if you're donating to a noble cause, £10 a month, put your level of sincerity at what? 10. Obviously, if it was me, I'll say 5. Your care, you may have 10. It might be less than 10. It might be, say, 8 or 7. Care for that cause that you're donating to, £10. It could be at the level of 7 or 6. And your sincerity could be at the level of 3, 4. That's it, my standards. I'll give it to you. I'll say, khalas, your care is 10, your sincerity is at the 10 level. Yeah? So if you take it in terms of measurements of money to measure your sincerity, then that becomes more practical and tangible, right? And then you can put in the perspective of Sahaba. How much money did they donate? How much money did they donate? They donated the whole life. They donated whatever they had. So their sincerity was at the maximum level of their wealth. So if you're earning 60,000, they were ready to donate 60,000. If you're earning 100,000, they were prepared to donate 100,000. So measure, for example, if you're earning what? Average earning nowadays is what? 24, 25,000, that's the average, right? Sah, average. Okay, are you prepared to donate that amount of money for the deal? If not, why not? If not, why not? That's the question you ought to answer, my brothers and sisters. Okay, let's read the title. An upright person continues to aid humanity irrespective of their faith or any payment or even certain death. A great leader shouldn't only plan to solve people's problems for the long run, but also he should plan ways to beautify their living. Yeah, this is all under care and sincerity. So we Muslims have to have big hearts. We have to have big hearts. We have to have deep, conscious, proactive souls. where we are inclusive of everyone. No human being shouldn't be left outside our empathy and sympathy. No creature should be left outside our empathy and sympathy and our humanity. Okay? The only ones can be left out are proven shayateen, amongst the human beings and amongst the jinns. They can be outside our mercy. Other than them, the rest ought to be included within our humanity. Okay, let's go to Yusuf alayhi salam. He says, قال تزرعون 7 سنين دأبا فما حصدتم فذروه في سنبله إلا قليلا مما تأكلون. So he said, you'll plant for 7 years consecutively, and what you harvest, leave it in its spikes, except a little from which you will eat. Then will come after that 7 difficult years, which will consume what you saved for them, except a little from which you will store. Then will come after that a year in which the people will be given rain, and in which they will press olives and grapes and juice and so forth and so on. So here, Yusuf gave the sincere advice before the judge or before the king set him free. Before the king set him free from the prison. It shows his level of care for humanity and level of sincerity. So this mindset, what do I want for you, brothers and sisters, to take from this mindset? That's one thing I just want you to take. Work on your care and sincerity through donations. Simple as that. Work on your care and sincerity through your donations. You will see, you will not have diseases of pride, arrogance, ego, right? Power, authority, envy, jealousy. All of these things will be removed from your nafs as long as you donate large amounts of money for upright causes. Next mindset, forgiveness with clarity is kindness. Forgiveness with clarity is kindness. A lot of time, especially our sincere brothers and sisters, they tend to forgive people when they have done severe injustice, severe oppression, right? Severe slander. They tend to forgive them and walk away or not talk about it and khalas, leave it to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or just they tend to forgive. However, that is not kindness to the oppressor, and that is not kindness to yourself, and that is not kindness to the people who love you and care about you. That is not kindness. And the worst of it is you give advantage to the oppressors to oppress more. Or even if it's not those direct oppressors who oppressed you, generally in the society, oppression will take place more and more because people are forgiving without clarifying. People are forgiving without taking those people who are oppressing into account. That's why, who's more noble than Yusuf? Who's more generous than Yusuf? Who's more kinder than Yusuf? Yeah? Who has better blood than Yusuf? Yet Yusuf Islam did not forgive them. He did not forgive them. He clarified the matter. He brought it to the court. He clarified the matter. Once the matter was acknowledged that they did wrong, they oppressed, then he forgave them. So don't make that mistake if you're being slandered, if your character is being assassinated, right? If you're being oppressed, don't make that mistake of forgiving or walking away without clarifying. If you don't have authority, clarify. If you have authority, take people into account. The minimum you ought to do is to clarify. So this mindset of forgiving and overlooking and walking away, this is not the Islamic mindset. This is not the Islamic mindset. This is not what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants from you as Muslims living upon the surface of the earth. Where did this mindset come from? I'll attribute it to Buddhism. I'll attribute it to Buddhism. It's not Islamic. Our mindset is, when wrong is done, you stand up against it. When oppression is done, you take them into account. If you can't do that, you clarify. You clarify. You don't forgive and you walk away. You don't turn a blind eye. You don't do any of that. These are not Islamic principles. Now one must say, okay, what if I don't have the opportunity even to clarify? You create the opportunity, like Yusuf did. He created that opportunity. He created the environment. And because of this mindset of forgiving, overlooking, and walking away, oppression begins to take its ground. It begins to gain power. Right? From time of Sallallahu, for example, there was no oppression. Once he established his deen and he was the leader after the Hajj, there was no oppression because there was hudud, there was punishments established, right? Perfect society, right? And after that, slowly, oppression began to creep in. The ones who let that creep in from the day one, right? They gave advantage to the oppressors to oppress and gain that power. That's why Abu Bakr did not allow the people who did not want to give zakat, did not allow for them not to give the zakat. He rode out to fight them. He rode out whilst he was ill and weak and frail and fragile, yet he rode out to fight them because he did not want oppression to take place. Where the poor does not receive the due money or the due wealth of theirs. The title here, we wrote, when false accusations in people's hearts and minds becomes near facts, clarify and rectify when the first authority of chance comes in. So when they wanted him to come out from the prison, after I gave them the dream interpretation, I gave them the sincere advice, they wanted him to come out, the king wanted to see him. Islam said, no, I'm not going to come out unless, right, the people who slandered me, you bring them to the court and you ask them what they did. He demanded that. He, Islam, demanded that what they slandered him, that has to be clarified, and it has to come from their mouth. It doesn't come from his mouth. It has to come from their mouth. Okay. I'll stop here, inshallah. Any questions? We will take, inshallah.
So, you mentioned forgiving or overlooking in your marriage series that you went through. Obviously, that's a separate scenario, and that's not in the context of our question. Right?
Yeah.
So, you just respect.
Yeah, I always say, like, when it comes to slander, someone slanders you, like what happened with Yusuf, it's a major. So anything major within the category of oppression, major oppression, has to be clarified. And if it's eaten, then it has to be first acknowledged that yes, I ate your fundamental right or your obligatory right. It has to be acknowledged before you forgive them. Because if you don't take them to the core, be it public core or be it a private core within your family, if you don't do that core, then they will then what? Oppress more, either yourself or others. They will manipulate, they will take advantage of vulnerable and weak people. That's why you have to stand your ground and make sure the facts and the truths come out and they acknowledge and admit, and you demand it. You demand it. Make sure that they admit the oppression and the taking of right that they have done against you. Any questions, brothers? Everything's clear?
And when there's not oppression and slander, obviously generally the mindset should be told what it can forgive and
yeah, if it's not oppression, it's not, if it's not within the major sin of taking your fundamental obligatory rights, then you be ihsan, you be muhsin, where you overlook, you ignore, you forgive. No.
You know, the last lesson you mentioned that one of the signs of one of the causes, one of the main causes is depression and stuff is when we try to take control of things which is in the hands of Allah, in His control.
Yeah.
We try to interfere with the realm of Allah. This is that causes us people to have depression and low mental strength and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Less confidence and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So would you say someone who does what they can, their means, and for example, subject to risk, money, finance, and stuff like that, they do whatever they can, their means, but after that they still, overthink, and it kind of like consumes them. Would you say this is a sign of low mental strength?
Yeah, no doubt. So the question is, I think last I said that realm of Allah, leave it to Allah. Your realm, you take the utmost means. So the brother is asking the question that what if you take your utmost means but still you're worrying and so forth and so on? Yeah, then you're going within the realm of Allah. Right? After you take the utmost means, you should not worry. just leave it to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As long as you're taking the utmost means, you're planning, you're seeking advice, you're doing what you have to do, what you need to do, leave the rest to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because there will always be a delay. Remember that. There will always be a delay. Why? The delay will be there for you to realize that it's not you who bring things forth. It is who? Allah. Whenever He wills. That's why there will be always delay. That delay is for you to realize that it comes from Allah, not from you. Now.
There's a question. The person has little wealth, or not the best of circumstances, to donate large amounts currently. How can they navigate?
Donate large amounts according to your income. So if you're earning, for example, £100, right, then say £20 is a large amount. So according to your earnings. So if you're earning 25,000 a year, which is the average earning, and you're donating £100 per month, that's okay. I'll say a bit more. Yeah, I'll say a bit more. I'll say, for example, 150 to 200 should be per month donating. If you're earning around 40, then 400, 500 pounds per month should be your donations. You should hurt your nafs. That's the key. Yeah.
One of the questions. Can you give
There's a video on YouTube, I think it's called Donate Until It Hurts Your Nafs. Yeah, I think it's on YouTube by myself. Watch that video.
Can you give practical steps on how to grow your care while going through trials and tribulations like you guys?
Donate. Simple. Keep donating. Keep donating. The more you donate, the more you will have care. Especially if you have people in your heart. So, for example, so-and-so you know in your relative is being oppressed. Donate on his behalf, on her behalf. You know, so-and-so country is being oppressed and your money can't reach there. Donate here, but on their behalf. Yeah, donate on their behalf. This will cleanse your heart. Allah will remove. And especially when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He Himself said it. He said, donate so Allah can give to you. Yeah, donate so Allah can give. And donation removes and cleanses your sins just like the water cleanses the dirt. Allah said these things. Donate so that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can remove the trials and tribulation that you're going through, even punishments. This is Allah saying it. If we did not say it, we still would have donated for us to achieve these results and fruits. What about then if we actually said it? Do this, I will do that. Do this, I will do that. Yeah. And the hadith in Sahih Muslim, the hadith al-Qudsi is so general. Sallallahu said, as long as you are, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, sorry, as long as you are there to help your brothers and sisters, كَانَ اللَّهُ فِي عَوْنِ عَبْدِهِ. Allah Jalla wa ala will be with that individual, aiding him, assisting him. Sallallahu didn't say in what. He didn't say Allah will aid you in this and that. He left it unrestricted and general. Can Allah will be there to aid him. Aid him in what? Obviously aid him in his needs, in his difficulties, in his trials, in his tribulations. Yeah? So when we have this explicit hadith of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saying this, right? Why don't we donate? Just by dua, you will not achieve what you want to achieve. If your donation is not there where your dua is. Your dua and your donations has to be at the same, right? Same place in your heart. It has to be the same level. And then you will see the fruits. And then you will see the results on the fruits. As I said, if you was to ask me, give us one thing that we can transform the ummah, I would say donate until your nafs hurts. That's it.
If someone deceives you and gossips and slanders you and assumes they have been forgiven because you have been kind and because you attempted to rectify their doing, but they still didn't, should you make it clear that they haven't been forgiven until make it clear to them that they're not forgiven?
Yeah, because the worst thing is in the Qiyamah day, you take the hasanat or you give them your sins. So it has to be clarified. When I went through the verses and ahadith regarding the currencies of the akhirah, the currencies of the coming life, right? You've got terminologies like thawab, jaza, ajr, jaza al-di'f, hasanat. These are terminologies of the currencies of the akhirah life. Yeah? The rewards and the pleasures and delights of the akhirah life. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when it comes to all of your deeds, from A to Z, all of your deeds, right? Before the reward is given of those deeds, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala termed as hasanat. He termed as hasanat. That hasanat or those hasanat will be your currency of the akhirah. They will determine what type, what category of reward you receive and you attain. Yeah? And if those hasanat are given to your enemy, right? And you have to take your enemy's sayyi'at or your adversary's sayyi'at, right? Then you can be bankrupt. You can be bankrupt. And then you're left with only the mercy and grace of Allah to reward you. And that's why Sallallahu made that very clear. He said, shall I tell you who is bankrupt? He made it very clear. He did not leave us ambiguous. He didn't leave us in the unknown territory. He left it very clear. He said, shall I tell you of the one who is a muflis? Muflis is the one who prays, he recites, he does all the worship, but he swears at this person. He eats this person's right. He slanders this person. He, on the akhirah life, he will be bankrupt. How many of the Muslims today are praying, right? Worshipping and praying tahajjud, but in the akhirah life, they are simply bankrupt. Imagine, it could be your mother, it could be your father, it could be your elder brother, it could be your elder sister. We Muslims have to transform our character to the better. We cannot let ourselves to be bankrupt in the akhirah life and just let Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then put us into Jannah out of His mercy and grace without our own hasanat. So we have to really rectify ourselves internally in our houses, our wives, our mothers, our sisters, our daughters, our fathers, our brothers. We have to fight for this character of being a Muslim. Right? Otherwise, we are in danger. We are in danger. We can't go in the akhirah life and say, oh Allah, I didn't know that the currency of the akhirah life is hasanat. Well, I didn't know, Ya Allah, that backbiting and slandering and gossiping, all of this will take away my hasanat. I didn't know I can be bankrupt. We cannot say that because it's no. Our mothers, our daughters, our sisters, our nieces, our nephews, our uncles, they cannot justify So unless we take this life and the akhirah life seriously and really internalize this belief, right, we are running towards bankruptcy in the akhirah life. Now,
just that you have to specify forgive me for this such and such, or can you say generally forgive me for any wrong that I've done towards you? You generalize it.
as long as it's understood, it's fine. But it has to be understood where they exactly did the wrong and where you exactly forgiving them.
So the person who's asking you, okay, forgive you for such and such.
Yeah, both ways, the clarification has to be done. So they know exactly what they're asking forgiveness of, even if they don't mention it. And the other is forgiving them, even they don't mention it, but they know in what they are forgiving them. Yeah? Let me tell you this. If you haven't forgotten what that person has done, do you think Allah will forget it? And if you yourself have not forgotten what the other person has said or done, it's paining you, or it's left a scar in you emotionally, psychologically, mentally, do you think Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will forget it? Of course. Of course. Okay, we'll stop here, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.